Yo, before we even get into it, this ain't just a podcast. This us talking to the block, to the moms, to the homies lost, to the ones fighting demons in silence, to the kings and queens that forgot their crown. We four brothers coming straight from mud, hitting the web not for clout but for purse bills. We them night brothers, speaking truth to the mic, shining through the struggle, bringing dark to the light. Block to your soul, let the message ignite. Podcast for the people, every word take flight. Gritty like the grind, hell first we strive. Social heat in the streets, trying to keep hope alive. 4 mics, 1 mission, make the people revive. It's the night time, tune in, feel the vibe. We 4 deep like corners on the block, mics hot in the lab, cooking truth non-stop, no gimmicks. This ain't clickbait chatter, this heartbeat, struggling soul, blacker than batter. Got fam trying to heal, broke bills on the table. Talk health, mental wealth, if we able, we enable. From the hood to the web, we built this escape. Tired of seeing kings trapped in a lowercase fake. Click clack on the keys, we ain't just pie, we preach it. Street slang, health hacks, real talk preaching. See the system rigged, trying to cage our minds, but we cracking the code like it's Columbine. I'm the brother with the blueprint, knowledge in my stash. Turn trauma to armor, pain into cash. 1 mic, 4 voices, no filters, no mask. We ain't just streaming, we building that path. We them night brothers, speaking truth to the mic, shining through the struggle, bringing dark to the light. Block to your soul, let the message ignite. Podcast for the people, every word take flight. Gritty like the grind, hell first we strive. Social heat in the streets, trying to keep hope alive. 4 mics, 1 mission, make the people revive. It's the nighttime, tune in, feel the vibe.
Oh yeah, 4 mics, 1 mission. Nighttime, nighttime.
I seen young blood.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. How you doing, my brother? Welcome,
Man,
everyone
beautiful.
to the Night
welcome
Brothers
back
Show.
to you. Shoot, brother.
Yes,
welcome
yes.
back. Welcome back. Indeed.
Well, good to be back, brother. Good to be back. Feeling good, feeling rested, and got the batteries recharged and all ready to go. And I'm excited about tonight's show, Harden. How about you, brother?
Man, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, seeing you guys. We got Mimi Lee in the place to be, Margaret Nick in the building. Come on, Q. You know what we got to do.
Sir.
Tell them.
Welcome. Well, this is the Night Brothers Show, the show where your opinion matters. So we welcome your comments, we welcome your questions, and we want to have open dialogue with you. And along with our special guest tonight, who has just gonna give us her vision for the city of Annapolis and how she views how the city should be governed. And we're gonna break down every aspect of that. And we just want your involvement, audience. Margaret Nick, welcome. And we ask you to like and share the program. This is the time we should tell somebody else about the program. Tell them to jump on because they don't want to miss our special guest tonight. Mimi Lee, how are you tonight, dear?
Definitely. You're absolutely right. They don't want to miss this guest. First of all, I would say, living in Annapolis, grab a pencil and a pad. Write down whatever questions you may have and as we go through this interview, you'll probably have a few other questions you may want to ask because guess what? It's about you, indeed. So make sure you have a pen and a pad just so you don't lose your question.
Can you check Facebook for me? Can you check Facebook for me? Because I'm not sure if we're streaming there yet right now. And I just want to make sure we are before we get into it deep because some folks may only be able to join from there.
Yes, we are. We're fine.
We're streaming live
Perfect.
from Facebook as well.
Yes.
Okay. You see us on Facebook, put 1 in there. Please, just give us a hand, the tech side.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook, just check in and say something so I can definitely see what's going on with you. That would be
Pamela
good.
Williams, good evening to you. Pamela Williams checking in from Facebook. Good evening, Pamela Williams.
Bless you. Appreciate you. Definitely.
Needed. Okay, good enough.
Thank you.
There we go. Now I feel better.
We all good.
All right.
Thank
Let's
you,
get
Pam.
cranking in now. Pamela.
Let's rock and roll and let's hit
Pamela
it.
was on the cruise too. Wasn't she on the cruise?
Well, welcome to the Vibe, and tonight's Vibe is going to be a real good one because tonight, Vibe number one is a special interview with Miss Rhonda Pindell Charles, candidate for Mayor of Annapolis 2025.
If it's good, we make it contagious. Said we vibing, laying on black sand beaches, thinking of what life teaches. So glad and fall from the deep end. Said we vibing.
All right, Lenny.
Wherever the wind gon' take us. If it's good, we make it contagious. Said we
Pamela said she put herself on the cruise.
She put herself on the cruise. I heard you, Pam. That's shoot.
Well,
Sometimes
Pam,
you going.
I'm gonna contact you because I got some news for you, and I'll be talking to you pretty soon about it. Good evening, Miss Cheryl Queen. Good evening.
Peace and love.
Good to have you with us. And let's keep it moving, brother.
All right. Just getting some comments and getting my bearings. I'm acting like I've been on a cruise, but I'm getting myself together.
This week on the Knight Brothers Show, we welcome a woman of vision, values, and voice, Rhonda Pindell Charles, candidate for Mayor of Annapolis. As a dedicated alderwoman of Ward 3 since 2013, Rhonda has been a tireless servant leader for her community. She's not just talking the talk. Rhonda has already served as acting mayor for the city of Annapolis. With a law degree from University of Maryland and years as an assistant state's attorney, she brings serious credentials to the table. But there's more to Rhonda than her impressive resume. She's a lifelong member of the Mount Olive AME Church, a former scholar-athlete from Annapolis High, and deeply connected to the community she hopes to lead. Join us for an unforgettable conversation with mayoral candidate Rhonda Pindell Charles, only on the Knight Brothers Show. Don't miss it. Tune in to the Knight Brothers Show this week for an inspiring conversation with Rhonda Pindell Charles. Remember, on the Knight Brothers Show, your opinion matters.
Hey,
Absolutely.
welcome.
There she is. Welcome, Miss Pindell Charles. How are you doing this evening? How are you feeling?
I'm doing very well. I'm excited to be on your show.
Well,
We're excited to have you.
This has been a long time coming, and we're certainly glad to have you as our guest. And we're looking forward to just having a great dialogue with you this evening, talking about the things that matter to the citizens of Annapolis and to yourself and to us as well. So, with that being said, we want to say hello to a few people. Mr. Terry Holland from Parole. How you doing, Terry? How you doing, brother?
Thanks,
Hold
Terry.
on, say hello.
How you feeling?
Terry, good to see you, brother.
What's going on,
That's
Kid
That's
Man?
my cousin-in-law.
That's your cousin-in-law.
It is.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
Terry is family all the way around. A bass player.
All the way around.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, glad to have you on the show. We had some technical difficulties last week. But you know what they said, Rhonda? You have to wait for good things.
Good things come to those who wait.
It's good.
Good things come to those who wait. Yes.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to get right into the interview tonight, y'all. So, Q, you're going to start it off tonight, man.
All right, sounds good. I'm always like to get things started. So, Miss Pindell Charles, first of all, just so the people have a better understanding of your background and where you came from and things of that nature, just tell us how you got into politics and what was your inspiration and drive to run for mayor of Annapolis at this point in time. Just break that down for us, if you would.
Well, to be quite honest, I was averse to politics. And in Ward 3, my predecessor, Dr. Classy Hull, was ready to retire. She had served, I think, 3 terms, and she was looking for someone to take her place. She had approached my husband, Marvin, about it, and he said, oh, my goodness, she's not interested at all, knowing that I was not interested. And she said, well, ask her again. And they asked me about 3 times. And finally, Marvin said to me, he said, Rhonda, you're doing all this community work. You've been doing it for years and decades, but I know you'll really be able to get more done sitting on the city council. And I said to him, what do you know? You're an accountant. And so, but I had to think about it. I thought about it, and I looked around, and I saw Mike Bush and John Astor and Chris Trumbauer and Virginia Claggett and the predecessors in Ward 3 that have served. And I said, you know what? I need to take a look at what's locally advantageous, that these are the people that I can pat myself off of. And so that's what really got me involved in running for the alderperson spot. And the first two terms, I didn't have any opponents, but still I was committed to doing the work no matter what. And people would say, well, when do you start on your next campaign? I say the day after the last one, because it's an ever evolving consistency of work that has to be done, that people are looking for you to do, and you're committed to the task.
Amen. Well, Lenny, could you do me a favor, please? Could you just turn the music down, please? Could you turn the music down, please? Yes.
So what drove you to run for mayor?
Yes. That's what I wanted. I want to know that.
And really, I can sum it up in one word: prayer. I had to pray about it. I had to have certain signs, I'll say, and I did receive certain signs that made me believe that that's what I need to do. And so since I've been running, and I made this decision February of last year, and it's been a great journey. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. I can't think of one adverse, even close comment I've had. It's been really a blessing and a labor of love to really pursue this course. And I really, and my family has been in this area in Anne Arundel County border, Bowie, for 3 centuries. And the Queen family and my father's family, the Pindell family, have been here for way before the Civil War. So I really deeply rooted. I really feel committed. This city has given me a lot. It hasn't always been kind to everyone, but it's like family members. You still love them and you still want to do good by them. And so when I looked at all of that, I said, I need to run for mayor, and I really want this to happen. And I'm really grateful that the opportunity came. And like I said, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about my candidacy, and I'm really blessed to have had that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm so glad to hear you break that down for our audience so people could have a better understanding of just what springboarded you to make this decision. On you, son.
Yes. Well, let me ask you, how will you make the government more transparent and responsive to the everyday residents?
Well, several things. Number one, my leadership capabilities have indicated to me that that's what we need to do. And when I was a prosecutor in Baltimore City, I worked with 300 other prosecutors, 150 support staff, 3,000 police officers, and we had a population then of about 750,000. So transparency and responsiveness was a hallmark, a benchmark that we had to follow. And that's what I taught what we call baby prosecutors, those who were first, they were their first jobs. And so what I want to do is continue to see and recalibrate and increase the number of town halls that we have in our communities. I want to have at least one per year in every ward. And a lot of what I'm going to give to you tonight is already on my website and my newsletter. I want to be able to have regular contact with directors and our chiefs, because that contact and that communication is extremely important. And I want to increase that level. Also, 45 days after November 4th, I want to ask, and I'm asking all of our directors to give me an update on every project that they have, because that way we'll have a sense of which direction we're going, what we may have issues with, what we may need more staff or funding for, what we can discard, and those kinds of things. Also, I want to look at our various community associations and associations within our residences. And I want to be able to have them come and within certain groups and listen to what they have to say to us and give us their ideas of what they see as boots on the ground. And so I might even set aside a niche of time between doing our council meeting just for public and subsidized housing communities to give their testimony, but also do the same thing for businesses. I'm still thinking about how that would look. I want even now we have our directors come before us when there's legislation that pertains to them on the agenda. But I've looked and seen what the school system did, and every school system Board of Ed meeting, all the directors are there in person. I don't necessarily need them in person, but I like them on Zoom. So when someone comes and testifies before us and with a certain issue, we'll have our planning zoning director there to listen exactly to what's going on, or our public works director, or our rec and parks director, to hear and see exactly what the issue is and can follow up in somewhat in real time. Also, I want to start a city foundation where people can donate $5, $10, $500, and it's a tax write-off. And we will be able to maybe use that money for other things that may be necessary that we just don't have. Say, for instance, we have an organization and they're working with children and they want to plant trees. It's going to be $1,000, but they only have 500. They can go to the foundation and say, we need an extra 500 to work with these children on the environmental positives within our city government and the importance of trees, because when it comes to resiliency, everybody understands what trees are all about. I want our mid-level and our ground level people to come and testify before the city council. It's the guy that fixed your pothole that you see on the street. It's the woman that does the inspections. I want them to feel a part and engaged in making decisions in our city government. And if you come and testify for 2 or 3 minutes, people get to see who they are. We've uplifted the city, we've uplifted the government, and people get to see people in real time. I want to start something called Passport for Life. That's where we look at children and we give them a passport. You should be able to swim by the age of 5. You ought to be able to have a
I love that.
So there are a lot of different things up from birth to age 24. And so there are a lot of things. I want to put a little more emphasis on our veterans and our seniors. And so all of this, I want to hear from the community. They're the boots on the ground. They see what's happening in real time. Come and tell us and let us know what's going on, because we can do that in pop-up task force, maybe for 6 months, maybe another venue where we can listen to what they have to say, a revolving kitchen cabinet of people who are telling us and giving us information about what's going on in the community. So I want to do a little bit more of that, kind of recalibrate what we're already doing, add a little bit to it, because issues are ever evolving. They're constantly in motion. And so something we might do yesterday may not be appropriate next week. We had to stop everything when COVID came, but we still had to provide those core services. So when we're talking about transparency and responsiveness, that's how I see it. That's my vision.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Putting those boots on the ground. I know people can get with that.
Yes, that was quite a lot. But some of the things that stood out to me, I love the idea of, it sounds like you just want to give a voice to those who are deemed voiceless, and letting them be heard. And I think that's so important, because so often that's overlooked in our communities and communities all over this country. So giving that voice to people who are deemed voiceless is so important. Also, I love the idea, you talked about it, and I've seen this take place many times as well, is having all the committee members be responsive when you have meetings of that type, the way the Board of Education does. I love that idea as well, because that way they're getting information directly from the department heads who have expertise in certain areas and can answer those questions that those people may have about certain areas in what's going on with the city. So I love those ideas. I just wanted to comment. I just wanted to say that.
Should shorten the response time, indeed.
Yeah.
We had a question from the audience. From Terry. You want to get that?
Oh, shoot. Brother Terry Hollis, does the city get revenue from parking downtown? Is his question.
Yes, we do. We do get revenue. I can't give you the numbers, but we do get revenue from the parking downtown. We've now moved, because we now have a new garage and we have a new system in place. It's been somewhat problematic, but we're working on a better system. A lot of what we got through, it's called 3P, a P3. It was all connected to what we're going to be doing downtown at City Dock. So there were certain concessions we made with a company. I can't think of the name of it, but it's all tied to City Dock. So no, we do receive parking revenue for downtown parking. Yes.
All right. Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Q, you up?
Yes. So thus far, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what kind of feedback are you hearing from residents as you campaign? And talk about some of. Go ahead. I'll let you part one of it first.
No, go ahead.
And talk about some of the positive issues as well as residents' concerns in Annapolis, because I know there are two sides of the coin. I know there's some concerns as well.
True. Getting quite a bit of feedback. A lot of positive feedback from folks as far as what's going on in the city, but also what we're looking at and what I've heard is trauma and addressing that. I was down at what used to be, well, now it's Woodside Gardens, still Woodside Gardens. Yesterday, and Bishop Carroll had kind of a revival type situation with residents, and we're looking at trauma, and they're going to have an event, and I can't think of when. Lady Carol mentioned it, to deal with some of the trauma. We also have a great relationship with the county health department. Dr. Tony Gedden, who's our health officer, has been great. She's African American, and so we have great information that we've gotten from her, and a great relationship that we've gotten from her. The feedback I'm getting is positive, especially when it comes to public safety. Of course, you know, Chief Jackson has been there. The end of July was 6 years, I believe it is. He's really brought into a great policing model. And so we have a CALEA accredited police department, a Class 1 fire department. And when you look at the Class 1 fire department, it's a situation where your insurance rates are lower because we are Class 1. We have to go through certain gyrations to get there. So I'm hearing good things, but also hearing things about people when it comes to some households may not be adhering to certain norms, I guess, for lack of a better word, and that's not the best word, when it comes to housekeeping on the outside and the inside. And so sometimes we have an overabundance of rodents. So I've had planning and zoning to come out and take a look at some things. So we're getting those kinds of comments as well. So it's been overall good, but like I said, we can always do better. And so I'm really looking forward to working on things that I hear people talk about, and that continue to bring to us what their feedback is and what they're looking for from our city government. So it's been wonderful. Like I said, no situation is perfect. People are always asking what more can we do, and we try to do the best that we can. And it's been a labor of love.
We had a question from the audience in reference to the mole situation from Legends of the Past.
Yes.
You know, what were the plans to handle the mole situation? I'm thinking he's talking about in Newtown 20 or down 20 or in a couple of the public housing places. I believe he was speaking.
Senator Henson was the one who has been dogged about getting that bill passed in the state legislature. I'll be honest, I have not read it, but I do know there's certain protocols and there's certain things within that bill, that piece of legislation now, that will guide us in making sure that mold is addressed in the proper way, that when it can't be addressed with the resident already there, that I know we do move people out of their residences into a temporary, usually it's a hotel or another unit that does not have mold, to make sure, because even I've had relatives who are having issues with that, a child baby with eczema and that sort of thing. Good. So it's a health issue, and we're constantly talking about health issues, which I think is extremely important. And so that piece of legislation is going to be a great guide for us as we move along in addressing the mold issue. I went to a meeting yesterday with, it was with Fairstead, which is in charge of Woodside Gardens, and also with several people from the community. I think it was legal aid. And so we had a very robust discussion. There were many issues that we discussed. And what I said to them after I kind of finished listening, we need to put the issues into categories. And if you want to work on youth issues and what we want to bring to the youth in the community, if we want to work on mold issues, if we want to work on whatever issues, let's try to put them in a category and we each choose what we're going to work on, but also bring Fairstead back in another month to see what kind of solutions or what kind of things that they have addressed. Because, like anything else, we'll have one meeting, there's no follow-up, no more meetings until there's a problem, and then we come back again. So I don't want that to happen with any of our public and subsidized housing communities. And my word, it continues to be consistency. I want to have a situation where we're consistent in making decisions, we're consistent in reaching out to residents, we're consistent in talking to businesses. There's a consistency that people can appreciate, whether there's a meeting that one person comes to or 100 people. If we're going to have it on the second Tuesday of the month, let's have it on the second Tuesday of the month. It's like Bible study. It's every week on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and people know you're going to be there. And so
definitely, they know what it is. Indeed,
I like that analogy as well.
It's a lot to be. There's a lot to say about being consistent, and you're absolutely right there.
Right.
I will say, circling back just to finish up with the mold piece, there's certain standards that's already law in Maryland State. I used to be a mold inspector, but the bottom line is certain laws that are already, if that's adhered to, then there wouldn't even be a reason for any other legislation. And I'll just leave it at that, because I just know legally what I had to go through just to be true and exact with the state in reference to remediating mold, period. If they were doing what that was, we wouldn't have this conversation. So I'm glad they're doing something else to make sure what should have happened happens. But moving forward, what would you say to some people that seem to be a big question? And I wouldn't say just Annapolis. I would say everywhere it's a big question in reference to what steps would need to be taken to address the affordable housing crisis in the city of Annapolis. And I would say, that's what we're talking about, but that's not a unique situation for Annapolis. It's happening all around the country.
Exactly. Housing is a huge issue. And what I did, we, every 10 years, when the census comes out, we have, by state law, have to develop a comprehensive plan. And our comprehensive plan is Comprehensive Plan 2040, and we passed it July of last year. And I read all 500 plus pages. Ooh, wow, like reading more.
Page turner, wasn't it?
But anyway, I read from the first page, the table of contents, the glossary. I read everything. And when I got to the glossary, I saw something that said small area plans. And I read through, and it was a theme throughout the 500 plus pages. And what a small area, and I pushed and forced this onto the city to put it in the comprehensive plan. And what it is we have done, planning and zoning has done a ward profile for each ward. We had 6 things that we want to target, that we want to do. But everybody pretty much has housing in there. My thing is, if we can look at a certain piece of property, say in Ward 5, and if we can put a duplex there, if we can look in Ward 7 and put 4 condos there, small piece, because we don't have a whole lot of property left in the city.
Right.
Small pieces that we can find that will fit into the decor, for lack of a better word, of that ward. I think we can start on a good situation. Now we can also look at other things when it looks to housing stock. And what I will say is, when we look at housing in Annapolis, which is usually part of the planning and zoning department, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, we had only 2 planning and zoning directors, Eileen Fogarty and John Aronson. When last mayor, not Mayor Butler, came in, the last mayor, since that time, I've run out of fingers and toes as to how many planning and zoning directors we've had. And so many reasons for it, I won't get into it. I think sometimes people come here and see one thing and get to Annapolis and realize it's a different
It's
situation.
not that.
And so finally, we've landed with Mr. Jakubiak, and he's been here be 2 years next month, September the 11th. And I was very impressed. He knows Annapolis well because he has had a business here. But what he did was he asked each one of us to take him on a tour of our wards. I took him on all of my 88 streets. It was a 3-hour tour. It wasn't Gilligan's Island, but it was Rhonda's Island. And we went and he took notes and he said what he saw in Ward 3 was a good example of the different kinds of housing stock you can have, whether it's apartments, public, subsidized, duplex, triplex, courtyard. And so I want to look at the entire city to see where we can kind of replicate that in other places. I don't want to be overbearing and put something in a spot that doesn't fit. And so I really want to take a strategic look at what we have and where we can put certain housing stock within our city.
Well, Mayor, I should say, Ms. Pindell Charles, do you anticipate that there would be
speaking it into existence, huh?
Will there be pushback in from the wealthy areas in the placement of affordable housing? Would you anticipate that being an issue?
I will say this: there's generally an issue no matter. Put it this way: people don't like change. I mean, I'll put myself in the boat as well. But what I will say is this: there are ways of building what we need to build that can be tailored to that community. That's, I'll say, for lack of a better word, acceptable to that community, because there's a give and take on anything. On the city council, we never get everything we want, but we have to realize, and as a prosecutor, I never got everything. In fact, I shouldn't get everything I want, because oftentimes other people have better ideas. And so I always learned there's always a negotiating point. There's always a way. Say somebody said we can put 4 condos there. Well, maybe we can only put 2. And so that's fine. So let's take a look and everybody be a part of the solution. I've learned on the council, that, like I said, you don't always get what you want, but there's always a negotiating portion that normally we come out on the right side much more often than we do on the wrong side.
So it sounds like the key word there is compromise.
Yes, you use it. I do.
Well, listen.
I'm sorry.
What are some of the plans you have to help support minority and owned and small businesses in Annapolis? That's another key component to the city and to the growth of the city.
That's true. What I like to do, first of all, what I first did when I came on the council, I wanted to see how many businesses I had in Ward 3. I have over 700, but when they went back and did the calculations about 2 years ago, I have more businesses in my ward than any. I have over 900. And so, yes, I know. People don't know that. But
Ms. Pindell, Ms. Pindell, can you, for the people that might not know what Ward 3 is, could you kind of tell them what areas that is in Annapolis? That might help them.
What it encompasses,
Absolutely. Ward 3 basically starts at the Goodwill and goes up to Old Walgreens on West Street. It's basically Parole. It goes over to Greenbrier Safeway. Then it goes over to Admiral Oaks. So that's kind of the rectangular portion of Ward 3. It's kind of the greater Parole area. So is that helpful, or should you need more landmarks?
No, I know where it is, but I just wanted the listeners to get an idea.
We want to give them visually an idea of what area you're talking about. And I think you're a great job.
And I got a lot of businesses that are tucked into little spaces, like off of Chickwapin, behind the subway. It's a lot of little businesses tucked there. Over on Georgia Avenue, there are a lot of little businesses tucked over there. So what we want to do is look at businesses. First I got, like I said, a list of the businesses, who they are, what they do. And that's what I want to first get a list of. We have about 4,200 businesses total in Annapolis.
Wow.
They're either minority owned or they're small. I can't think of any large business we have. So what I have tried and kind of proposed to do is I'm good at categories. Let's try to put them in certain categories and work and have them work together. If you're a car dealership, let's see if the car dealerships can kind of get together and come up with a platform. If it's car repair, let the car repair shops come up with a platform that they want to utilize. If it's restaurants, if it's fast food, if it's whatever it is, let them kind of group themselves together because there's strength in numbers, and then develop their own platform or their own cadre or their own grouping and say, okay, Madam Mayor, this is what we see as the problem. This is what we need help with, and let's kind of work on this. I'm a big believer in letting people solve their own problems. I don't know all the answers. I've never personally been a small business owner. My dad and his brother and their cousin were, but actually running a business as an adult on a day-to-day basis, no. So I want those folks to come to me and say, look, as a group, as a consorted group, and there's strength in numbers, tell us what you think we can do to assist with small and minority-owned businesses.
That leads me right into my question. I mean, really, what do you think? And I know the way it seems your leadership is, I'm sure you'll see some more as you start talking to the other people. But what do you think investments are? What investments do you think are needed in the infrastructure uh, as far as the infrastructure is concerned in Annapolis? I mean, whether it's utility, roads, public services, schools, whatever that is, what do you feel that kind of needs to be focused on and needs real
Well, I think,
investment?
for a great quality of life, and I tuck all those into quality of life. People come to Annapolis for a reason. They want to live here or visit here or work here. So that's a great quality of life. So in order to enhance that, yes, we look at our roads. And the main thing, even when it comes to public safety, we're looking at sidewalks. And that was one main thing that I think resonated with the entire council this year. Let's take a look at our sidewalks and what we can do to fix them, to make them more walkable. I know we've talked a lot about walkable communities. So roads, roadways, potholes, that sort of thing. We've done an excellent job, and we haven't had much snow, but in snow removal and that sort of thing. So we want to do that. Utilities, our infrastructure. We're constantly looking and monitoring that. And also, we have not had any bad water come through our city in well over 100 years. So we're constantly monitoring our water, but also our infrastructure underground. When it comes to transportation, that's always a moving target, because if you open up a new business, you may have people that work there. Your transportation may need to be flexed a little bit. If you got something new going on at the mall, then we need to also take care of that as well. And so transportation is a constant movement. We've also talked about, I'm on the Transportation Standing Committee, possible free rides, but I want to look at the budget. What are the budget implications in having free transportation ridership? Public services like schools, of course, Anne Arundel County Public Schools takes care of that as far as the day-to-day education of children. What I did was, it had never been done before. When Dr. Pindell came on, I was the one who suggested that Dr. Pindell and his team come before the city council once a year to tell us and give us an update. What's the connection? How can we help? We have a mentoring program in the city that connects with children in the schools. We might have a Rec and Parks person who will take 15 minutes to go to, say, to Tyler Heights, speak with that child, mentor that child for a half hour, and then have 15 minutes to come back to their job location. And it hasn't been as robust as the mayor and I would like, but that's something I really want to tackle. And so I think because these children are our residents too, they may not vote, but they're still our residents and they're still our responsibilities. So I want to do that. We don't have hospitals, but we do have the county health department. We do have Anne Arundel Medical Center, and the most tangible thing that I can think about, I know there was an issue several years ago about our fire department and our medics, and the wait time. We had to work diligently on that because we had our fire folks there for long periods of time, which means they couldn't go out and help others who were in distress. So we've whittled down the wait time. So that's been a great situation. So we do connect with our medical facilities, our health facilities. Anytime we have any kind of vendor opportunities, the health department will send at least 3 different departments or units within their department to come and talk to folks. So it's been a great partnership. We're always looking for partnerships, collaboration. It was extraordinarily helpful during COVID. I must say that. So we've enhanced them, whether from the public safety side or also from the health side as well.
Okay.
Well, Ms. Pindell Charles, you've kind of addressed this next question to a certain degree, but perhaps you may want to elaborate on a little bit more. But talk about the relationship between City Hall itself and the underserved community. And how will you approach the task of strengthening that relationship? Because, there seem to be, sometimes there's a little bit of disconnect between some communities and city leadership. How will you strengthen that?
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of time on this one. Back in January of 2022, there was an uptick in violence. And we had 1 homicide the middle of January. What I did was I was getting bombarded with emails, and rightly so. So the first meeting in March, I had a State of the Public City address that I gave for 1 hour. The mayor wasn't happy, but he let me continue. But anyway, once I had that address for an hour, it's more to the story. But anyway, what happened was that night, Archie Trader, who was then head of Rec and Parks, texted me at midnight and said, Rhonda, we got to do something. And so we decided to loop in Chief Jackson the next morning on a 10 o'clock meeting. This was mid-March. And what we decided to do was start something called Annapolis United. And Annapolis United had 4 pillars. First pillar was love your children, and that was Rec and Parks' lane. Next it was love our neighbors, which is Office of Emergency Management's lane. Then we had Peace is Here, which was the fire department's lane. And then we had Stop the Violence, which was the police department's lane. And then we looped in the housing authority. And what we decided to do was to take that initiative and basically that summer bombard the children with as many activities, outreach, trips, everything that we could think of imaginable. Right. And so it was great. The kids loved it. They went to Patriot Point on the Eastern Shore, and it was $185,000 that we utilized that fiscal year for that. And so we didn't have any more homicides for the rest of that year. That one in mid-January. And we learned that there was something we had going on. And the Mayor Buckley has been extremely supportive of all of that. He said, Rhonda, whatever you got to do, go ahead and do it. So that was 2022. We came around to 2023, and we decided to do something called pop-up resource fairs. That came out of the mayor's office along with me with the Annapolis United. And I also had a little subset of that called A Child is Born. And I give out information at these vendor tables for people who might be pregnant or somebody who's getting, and just to give them just some information from the health department or from me, just to say, this is who you can go to the school system. Miss Torres is a lady who's part of that in the school system. So anyway, so we decided to do the pop-up resource fairs. We did 15 of them in 2023 in the summer. We had all kinds of vendors, health department, library, Dolly Parton Imagination Library. We probably had at least 20 vendors. People would come, and we had Chick-fil-A sandwiches and drinks for them. And they would come and spend maybe no more than 15 or 20 minutes. It would be a 3-hour time period. It wasn't meant for people to stay the whole 3 hours. They were there to connect with these resources. And so that year we had 15, I missed one. And it was a labor of love because people were so grateful to see us. The next year in 2024, we had 13 of the same thing. And what we did was last year, we had a micro grant for $500. And each community not only got the benefit of these vendors, but they also got a $500 grant. And they had the opportunity to utilize that grant. and whatever they want to utilize it in. Woodside Gardens did a community garden. So did Eastport Terrace. They did a community garden. I think Bay Ridge Gardens did something for the seniors during a time of the holidays. So everybody could choose what they wanted to do with the money. And they were so grateful that opportunity was afforded to them. And so this year I have not been as involved. I've been kind of busy with some other things. And so, but I've been keeping Jai, who heads up that resource fair and those pop-up fairs every year. So they're in our communities.
Well, just very briefly before Arden goes on, do you find that it's challenging to get businesses or easier to get businesses to support initiatives like the one you just described?
No, the ones that we have see the benefit. They're committed, and those are usually the people in these different organizations and departments. That's what they do. They do the community outreach. Whether it's the health department, we normally, like I said, have about 3 different units within the health department that comes. The school system will come. We have fire, police, Office of Emergency Management. They're committed because that's really what they do on a regular basis. So for them, it's a natural fit. And so we've honed into all of these folks. And they've been very receptive to coming, and they've met people and people have met them. And there's been a great connection. Their fire department will do CPR right there with a child. I can't tell you how many have done it. And so it's a lot of that sort of thing. Children ask a lot of questions. And what I will say is this. I was in Annapolis Gardens to National Night Out last summer. And one of the sergeants was blowing bubbles with a little girl who was about 3 years old, and they were having a good time. And I took a picture, and I mentioned to the sergeant, I said, think about 7 or 8 years ago, I could hear a mother say, get away from that police. Don't go over there. Come over here. None of that. And the sergeant said to me and looked at me and said, you're right. We've never had that sort of relationship like we have now. And I remember those days when parents were averse to police, but now it's a whole new situation. And that's just one example of what I've witnessed. And what I like to talk about is things I've seen myself or experienced myself, not necessarily what people have told me. I do, refer to that, but I just like to be hands-on, boots on the ground as much as I can. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I understand. Well, let me ask you, how we support initiatives that not only celebrate, but also preserve the city's African-American culture?
Well, I think we keep on doing what we're doing. I mean, we have Juneteenth celebration. We have the Family Day celebration. And we have Kunta Kinte. And so the city is all a part of that. What I would like, because we have the St. Patrick's Day and we have some others, I would like to see at least one day where we have a multicultural celebration, where we have everybody in the parade. We have everybody set up vendors, maybe at Weems Whalen or whatever, and just integrate, for lack of a better word, and find out about other cultures. The Greek food over here and the Jewish synagogue members over here. And that way we learn more about each other. And when we learn more about each other, I think we get along better with each other.
You're absolutely right. You got something.
Amen.
It enhances our own situation. And people oftentimes, don't even realize that's happening. You find your neighbor and you realize, wow, they're not a whole lot different from me. And so that's an opportunity for us to showcase what the different communities have.
I love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. You're so right about that.
Yeah.
Really, people are not so much different from each other.
Oh, no.
I used to tell somebody used to say something about, well, you can't be messing with these thugs and these gangsters and everything. I said, you know what? At the end of the day, a thug and a gangster got a husband or a wife or a child or a grandchild, just like anybody else. And that's all they want is the best for them. So don't be looking at the heart or outer shell. Look at the inner shell and look at somebody's heart. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Right.
But Q, you're up next.
Yes. Well, look, as we continue on, in your opinion, what are the most pressing issues that Annapolis is facing today? I mean, things that would be at the top of your agenda. And how will you work with the city council to ensure your administration makes progress toward solving those issues?
Well, public safety is always an issue.
Yes.
It's a perpetual issue. Um, the pinnacle of public safety is no crime at all. Well, we know that's not happening, but we try to get to that point of minimizing that as well. And so we, like I said, we've instituted a lot of different things that we do. And how I see public safety, in order to assure public safety, we have to be 1, healthy, 2, informed, 3, meaningfully engaged in the enhancement of our professional and volunteer workforce. Number 4, be good money managers of our finances. 5, residing in safe and affordable housing communities. 6, being mobile, which means easily able to access adequate and affordable transportation when needed. 7, pursuing social, community, entertainment, the arts, historical, recreational activities. And 8, as well as possibly choosing to enlighten ourselves spiritually. So all of that's within, as far as I'm concerned, how we assure public safety. And that's always something that we're moving toward. We would love to have no crime, but that's not going to happen. The second thing I would say is climate change. And the city and the county have partnered on the resilience and sustainability. Matt Fleming has been a true workhorse. We've had that for over a year, and Matt has come to us and we've gotten some grants and that sort of thing to address that downtown, especially the flooding. And I've been acting mayor on several times that we had the flooding downtown. And it's really disheartening. It's bad for business, but we're now in the process, and I don't know all the technical jargon about it, but we're going to be having, I think, 6 to 8 foot above that automatically lifts up when the water gets a certain height. And so we won't have those issues more than likely anymore. And then the above infrastructure is going to go underground. So climate change is here. We know the city dock is, and to look out on the Chesapeake is wonderful, but we need to control it. Number 3, again, safe and affordable housing. And there are different ways we can look at that. I mean, we've been we've had people come to us and say, what about rent stabilization? And I know Montgomery County has that. And so I'm looking at different ways to do that. Is there a situation where someone in parole needs their roof fixed? Do they need a low interest or no interest loan or grant or something like that to keep them afloat and to keep them safe and all? And so there are different ways of looking at it. It's almost going to be on an individual basis when we look at housing and how we pursue that. We have the CNI, Choice Neighborhood Initiative, and that's something that is going to affect Harbor House and Eastport Terrace. But let me just give you one example. I was over there watching, and they had a group when we were looking at it, and they had the template and where you could do the hands-on kind of where you want your park and where you want the benches and where you want the housing. And we had an adult group and we had a young people's group. And there was one young man who at the time was in 5th grade, and he showed an enormous talent for looking at what he wanted, and he was really into it. And so what I did was Miss Tippy and I decided to bring him to work with planning and zoning and to be with them for an entire day to see what planning and zoning does. He got there and he had a ball. He sat in the mayor's chair, and now I think he's maybe about 5th grade. And so we took photographs, and this is a young man for his resume. Here's an opportunity for him to have a reference maybe from that experience that he had. He will never forget it. And so that's how we want to integrate, say for instance, planning and zoning into a young person who shows some promise. I was floored about, he was really into it. And I was like, Miss Tippy, what are we going to do with this? She said, well, come on, Rhonda, we're going to do something. And so we talked to the planning and zoning director and the mayor and all. And so we decided that that's what we were going to do. And he had a ball. And so we want him to be a part of, because Alderman Gay started a summer internship program when he's of age to come in and be part of the planning and zoning department for a whole summer. So those are the kinds of things that don't cost any money. There are things that we can do that don't cost. And so that's what I'm looking at to see what's low cost or no cost. And there are things we can do. And so that's really that, but also some overall quality of life issue. That's kind of the fourth thing. So yeah.
That's beautiful indeed. So, well, one quick thing before I jump into my question. Um, can you share with anybody that wants to support you how they can support you, whether you need volunteers? I always say, the best tier is the volunteer. Everybody want to be on the executive tier, but you need to be on the volunteer. That's where it's happening. You know what I'm saying? And it's really where things happen. The volunteers. Any volunteers here, please let them know how they can help you. And I understand, if your jingles is cool, but if it folds, that is really what we want. I know the donations, is you support the nation, but you need some donations. So can you let them know how they can help you indeed?
Well, they can go to my website, www.friendsofrhondapindellcharles.com. And it's I've got a website, a newsletter, a monthly. I'm on a blog. I got Facebook, a lot of devices, so they can look out there. And I'm gonna say this to you too. When I back the end of April, I wanted to put out some signs, and in 4 days, my son and I posted 487 signs. People were really gravitating towards the signs. And now I've got over 500 signs out there, and people are asking, well, Miss Rhonda, why does the lady across the street have a sign and I don't have one? Miss Rhonda, why does the man next door have a sign and I don't have one? So it's kind of been like a contagion. And so those have been really, in many ways, a calling card for people to say, do you have a t-shirt, or what can I do to help? And so it's been, like I say, a labor of love. But go out on the website. They can take a look at it and see what opportunities are out there. I'll take $1, I'll take $5, I'll take $3, whatever you want to send, we will take. We ain't shamed.
There it is.
I'll take whatever there's out there. But the main thing I can say is, I want people to come out and vote on September the 16th. And I'm gonna say that I'm gonna give the reason why. With our national elections for president, and even our county and state elections, generally by that time, it has been decided who the candidate will be, whether it's Democrat or Republican. This on local side, because I have an opponent or two opponents, nothing goes beyond. If I don't win the primary on September 16th, that's the end of it. And so a lot of people said, oh, when's the election in November? I'm like, no. You got to come out September the 16th and vote. I mean, otherwise it's over for me. And so that's what, I can't stress it enough, that folks need to come out early and in September. So yeah, that's the main thing.
Miss Pindell and Arden, can I jump in just for a second?
Please do.
Something you said just now, Rhonda, that really just resonated and hit me like a ton of bricks. That you gotta come out and vote.
Yes.
Because, and I'm just gonna make this quick, but I know there's a lot of black people in Washington, D.C. just about right now that didn't vote probably during the general election. And the consequences of that vote is that it's a roundup going on in D.C. right now. In some of our colored neighborhoods, people of color neighborhoods, from the Trump administration, that if you could have voted, it might not be rounding up people like they did in California and the assault on some of the communities. So vote. I'm not saying that we have a candidate like that in the race for mayor in Annapolis, but I'm just saying the power of the vote is the correlation that I'm making. And if you want to follow up on that,
there are consequences to elections.
If you want to follow up on that, Ms. Charles, go right ahead.
Yeah, like I said, people first think, oh, the election's in November. I'm like, no. Yes, it is in November, but it also is pivotal. It is a must. And there's no early voting this year. That's the other thing. And so that's the other thing. And Jan Lee just put up on the board here on your page.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
www.rhondaformayor.com or www.friendsofrhondapindellcharles.com. And people will, and I think it was the 25th of July, everybody got in the mail in Annapolis the kind of the outline of and the tick-offs for this election. But it is critical. I mean, when you looked at the presidential election, people probably didn't come out for the primary because Kamala Harris was already in the bag. We knew she was going to be the Democratic candidate. And so people came out for November. Same with Barack Obama. They don't necessarily come out for the primary because they say, well, Barack Obama was already the Democratic candidate. So they come out in the general. This time with local elections, the primary is the most pivotal voting day. I can't stress it enough. I cannot stress it enough.
You're absolutely right.
November
And to
16th.
echo that, the real strength is local
November 16th.
elections. That's where the strength is. You have to
Exactly.
really engage locally because everybody looks at, oh, I'm voting presidential elections, but the local elections are really what affect your day-to-day life on a major
Amen,
level.
Arden. Amen,
On a
Arden, to that,
major
brother.
level. You know, you
And
need to
what
know
I ask
who you
people is, if your trash isn't picked up on Friday morning, are you going to call the White House? Are you going to call the governor's mansion? No, you're going to
Not at
call
all.
me. And just some nuance I want to bring to your attention. Out here, we get our garbage and trash. Everything goes out, it picks up on Friday. I had an elderly gentleman in one of my communities, and his garbage and trash was not picked up. And he called me and said, Rhonda, my wife uses Depends. And, you know, if I don't get this garbage picked up, the rodents will run it and all of that will be out in the street. And my wife and I will really be embarrassed. I called Public Works around 2:00 that afternoon. Everything had been picked up. They came around, the guys came around and picked up that bag of trash that gentleman had. We pride ourselves on being extraordinarily responsive when it comes to the small things that we may see as small, but impact somebody's daily living. He didn't want his wife to be embarrassed. He didn't want to be embarrassed. So we sent somebody out to get and pick up their trash. So we're very nuanced when we respond.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Well, look, we want to shift to what we call our fun questions or lightning round, in some terms we use it. And we're going to start with Mr. Arden up top there to ask you something.
Well, let me ask, what does Rhonda Pindell Charles like to do when she winds down? You know, when you're not on the campaign trails, what do you like to do to kick back, relax, relate?
Well, I'm not only on the campaign trail, I'm still doing my alderwoman stuff, which is 100 emails a day. We have no staff. I mean,
Right.
it's nonstop. But what I really like, first of all, spend time with my family, and I've neglected them, and I've apologized many times, especially during this campaign season. My grandson is running AAU track. They just came back from Houston, and he got one medal. And so usually I go. This time I just could not go. And also on Sundays, it's football. And I don't want anybody to call me, bother me, because I like to hear the pregame analysis. And when the Ravens come on, and I watch Ravens, Commanders, Cowboys, Eagles, I watch whatever's out there. I'm on that TV until 11:30 at night. Don't call me and bother me on Sunday.
I love it.
All day long.
That's
And
what I'm
so
talking
I
about.
like the Orioles, but I haven't kept up with them as much. And we normally, as a family, go to at least one Ravens game a season. And we usually try to go to an Oriole game as well, and also a Bay Sox game. And so, but no, I tell people don't bother me on Sunday. Don't bother me on Sunday.
I love it. That's real talk. Real talk there. Well,
and I
another
like
one.
watching old shows like, you know, The Nanny, Andy Griffin, you know, those old shows, and you know, the more Chicago Med now and those shows. So I like to watch television. So it's mindless at times, but it's good.
Okay, you can skip that next one.
Absolutely. I mean,
And my husband and I normally go to Rehoboth for our anniversary. So yeah.
Oh, Rehoboth? Okay, nice. In Delaware.
That's
Awesome.
Yes, we do. So yeah. So that's our little getaway.
So my question is, if you're elected mayor, and we got a whole bunch of people on here that really want you to be elected mayor, we had several people to call you, like Armand said, I like your answers, Madam Mayor. Quavy slipped up and called you mayor.
He called you too.
So, but if y'all want Miss Pindell to be mayor, just drop a 1 in the chat group. That's all I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna see what happens. But if you're elected, when you're elected, or whatever, however we want to phrase it, will you make a public announcement right here, right tonight on this show, that you will come back as mayor of Annapolis on the Night Brother Show?
Now, what's the consequences if I say no?
No consequence. We don't carry it like that.
No, I may
Yes,
be
we
dumb,
do.
but
We're gonna
if
be
I-
mad. No,
Of course I will. But I got
all right, that's all we need.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear.
That's
That's what
it.
we love to hear.
Amen.
We appreciate it.
Because we believe in building
See,
relationships.
now you made us happy.
Yeah, we definitely believe in building relationships, and I'm sure that in the future we can continue to build those relationships and other projects as time goes by.
Right. And one thing I want to mention is several words I want to mention: continuity, transparency, consistency, flexibility to possibly recalibrate, leadership and confidence in government, collaboration, consensus building and engagement, communication and responsiveness. And personally, what I bring to the table, the first 2 years, I want to just collect the alderwoman's salary and take the other 200,000 and utilize it within city government for something that I know that people can say, okay, what can we use this for? So those are the mantras that I'm working through. And the last thing is humor. Every man should have a sense of humor.
Indeed.
Amen. Amen to that.
Miss Pindell, a lot of people might not know either that if you're elected, you've already done this before too in the city of Annapolis. Am I correct in saying
67
that
days over 9 occasions? Yes.
you served as mayor at Annapolis before?
Under Mayor Panelides, Republican, and under Buckley as Democrat. Yes.
Wow.
I've done it more than
Wow.
anybody else. And the longest stint I had was when Buckley went home to visit. His mother was dying, and that was 17 days. And they did not know when he was coming back. So it was I didn't know how long it would be. And so no. Yeah.
Wow.
I've done that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. 67 days.
So you know your way around in that kitchen, huh?
Yes, I do. I know how to cook it up.
Whip it.
You know where the pots and pans are.
I haven't burned anything yet.
I love it.
Certified.
So
That's
audience, look, audience, I want you see that? You see those 2 words underneath of this beautiful soul's face right there? I want y'all all to either drop a 1 if that's all you can do, or just say thank you for our guests coming on tonight. Fellas, y'all have any closing remarks before we kick it to Miss Pindell for the last thoughts? Closing remarks.
Go ahead, Art. You go first.
Hey, no, I just appreciate your time. Thank you for being here. And more importantly, thank you for your service already. If you don't serve another day, thank you for decades of service that you've already put in. And I definitely want to echo what you just said. You're not running for a job that you've never done. A lot of people don't really know what they're jumping into till they get into it, but you've thrown your feet in the water a few times. So that's definitely a significant situation. And then you find out with that being on both sides of the parties, on both parties, that was something that I wasn't aware of. So thank you for sharing. And that's definitely unique that, because in the element of these times where people don't want to connect with other sides, to have such a connection where somebody on the Republican side would say, look, I entrust this to you. And then somebody else on the Democratic side would do the same thing for you as a person. That just was, it says a lot. It really says a lot. And I appreciate you. We are a health-based show, so I do want you to come back and do some intermittent fasting with us. We got a challenge probably coming up in the next month or so. Because, selfishly, I need you to stick around and be healthy so you can keep fighting the good fight. Okay, so definitely come back and check us out for the health side of things too. We want to keep you
What I will say is this, and I normally don't put it out there, but I went to the usual checkup. Doctor, I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes, arthritis. I can hear and I can see, and I'll say as of 9:14 p.m. tonight. Don't tell them about
Amen.
but I want to thank you all so very, 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 very much for the opportunity and for having shows like this. And those out there, including Ahmad, I mean, you all give voice to the voiceless and a face to the faceless. And this is extraordinarily important. It is so, so important what you all are doing. And I want you all to keep up the great work because it's not just a job, it's a ministry. What you all doing is a ministry. It really, truly is. It's a mission and a ministry. And so I appreciate what you all are doing and keep up the great work. And sure, I'd be happy to come back and thrilled to come back and talk to you at another time as mayor, hopefully.
Yes. Appreciate you.
That would be awesome.
Sure.
We would love to have you. And like you said, we appreciate those kind words, but much like you said, what you do is a labor of love. We feel the same way. This is a labor of love as well. And I thank you so much. We thank you so much for just taking the time to join us tonight. And we look forward to talking to you in the near future. So you know
And
what
thank
that
you
means.
to the audience. Thank you to the audience.
Yes. Thank you.
We call them the best audience on the internet. That's what we call them. Hey, look, thank you very much. We want to thank Jan Lee and all your staff and everybody else to help coordinate this because
Gary Elson is my campaign manager. My husband Marvin Charles is my campaign treasurer. Jan and Sandra and all the folks that have done, and those in the communities. Like I said, I call them yard sign ambassadors. I've got over 500 of them out there, and so all those you out there with the signs, thank you. And like Jan said, primary election September 16th. Put it on your calendars. Absolutely. Gary, thanks. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. I communicated with Gary earlier today. Thank you, Gary, for all your help. I want to thank Gary publicly.
Gary's been amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. He's going way beyond the Call of Duty. My husband as well.
Yes.
Well, everybody's going way beyond the Call of Duty. Way beyond. So yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, good night. Thank y'all for sticking around. Do well over an hour, but it was very important information because the election is coming up very soon, about a month away, and a little over a month
September 16th.
It determines your future. It determines your children's future, and it determines a lot.
Get out and vote. Get out and vote.
So, all right. Good night, everybody.
Okay. Good night.
Everybody.
God bless.